When you want corporate to work for you, you need to strategically position yourself and build executive presence so that you can be able to strategically and benefit as much as you can from corporate. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking to you about how to strategically create content so that you can position yourself for all the executive opportunities and enhance your perception in corporate so that you can be able to land the best deals in corporate as well as work with the best kind of companies when you're working in corporate. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Gloria and let's get to it. First things first, what is content creation? As per my observation and my experience with content creation, this essentially is a process where you create opinions or you share your experiences with other people based on what you've learned about a specific topic. This can either be by expertise, by experience, or by research based on what you're interested in. So essentially, you're just sharing your opinion with other people of the specific topic that you are talking about. And the reason why this is important, especially when you're a professional, it's because it enhances your presence and it also establishes you as an expert in the specific topic. You don't necessarily need to have certifications to prove this particular expertise, but if you constantly talk about the same kind of topic every single time you're creating content online, then it can solidify your awareness as well as your influence on that specific topic. And that is what makes content creation so important for professionals, especially in this day and age. And so the first thing that comes to mind when you're talking about content creation, if you've never created content before, is you need to figure out what type of content you're actually comfortable with, because there are different ways you can actually create content. You can either create audio content, which is content mostly derived by you doing voice over content or creating voice related content about specific topic. You can create video content, which is kind of like what I'm doing right now. This is video content and it comes in a variety ways and variety formats of creation, which is long form and short form video. And then we also have written content, kind of like what we see on Medium, blogs, as well as on LinkedIn and Twitter threads, because this is how you create written content. And written content essentially is what is used by a lot of people who are afraid of doing video content as well as doing voice or podcast content. And then the second thing that goes into question when it comes to content creation for professionals is you need to be very specific and categorical with the platforms you choose, because different platforms usually convey different information about the content you share. But if you're trying to build content around being a professional, expert-driven content online, then you need to lean into one of these three platforms. You can either create content on LinkedIn, because normally we all know that LinkedIn is the professional social media platform. The second platform you can think about is YouTube, because this is mostly essential for building long-term branding. So if you're thinking about building your brand, your expert-driven content into a wholesome brand that's going to be standing for itself or it's going to be sustaining itself in future, then you need to think about YouTube as more than a social media platform and start building a solid foundation for the brand that you're going to build long term, because YouTube is a long term game. And then the third platform that you can think about is Instagram. I know a lot of us do not really think about Instagram as a professional platform, but it's really, really a great platform to build your personal brand on, because aside from people talking about TikTok and building content on TikTok, a lot of people still look at, a lot of companies and a lot of people still look at Instagram as a very professional platform. Now let's get practical and action driven. The first step in content creation is you have to choose your content buckets or your content themes. A lot of the times you are going to be advised, especially when you're looking for how to start content creation, to think about your content themes or your content buckets as the foundation of what kind of content you're going to be creating or revolving around. Now, I beg to differ. A lot of the times, your content themes are going to be centered around your expertise. And your expertise means you are either running experiments, you are talking from experience, or you are advising someone who's younger than you. Now, with that said, your content themes are going to revolve around these three things. The first thing is going to be experience stroke expert driven content. This is the content, or rather this is the expertise you bring based on the years of experience you have doing that specific thing. The second kind of content is going to be curiosity stroke experimental driven content. So you're gonna pick topics that you're curious about, things that you're curious about, and you're gonna morph them together and come up with a content pillar, or rather a content bucket that is going to be revolving around what you are actually talking about, or the topic that you're an expert in. And then the third piece of content, or the third content theme you're going to be revolving around, is going to be how you do certain things. So how do you style? How do you come up with outfit changes? For example, how do you come up with your style guide? What colors do you think around, and why do you actually do the things that you do? That is how I do certain things. And those are going to be the content themes that you're going to be surrounding yourself on, because as you continue to shift as a creator, as you continue to shift in your profession, adding certifications and building up your skill set, you are also acquiring a lot of new things with regards to financing, frugality living, your personality shifts, your body changes, the way you think changes, your experience becomes more rich, and this is going to be the bias you're going to bring when you're creating your content. The second step into content creation as a professional is you need to build your content strategy. And guys, we're going to get strategic here, because I don't want to reiterate a lot of the tips that I shared when I talked about how to become a content creator in 2026. By the way, if you haven't watched that video, I'm going to include it right here so that you can go and watch it. It walks you through the step-by-step of how to actually start content creation. The first thing that you need to understand is that when you're creating content, there are mainly three goals you're trying to hit. The first goal is awareness. So you're trying to get people to discover who you are, discover what you talk about, discover your expertise, and know more about you as an individual. The second goal to content creation is usually community building and engagement. So you're gonna get people to start talking about the topics you're talking about, to start getting polarized by your opinions, and to start thinking outside the box when it comes to the industry that you're in. Because remember, you're not just creating content as a content creator, you are creating content that is expert driven based on the professional skill set that you actually have, so that you can polarize the right people and get to be in front of the right eyeballs for the opportunities that you actually want to incorporate. And then the third thing with regards to content creation is conversion. Conversion to look like people following you, conversion to look like opportunities coming to your DM and recruiters reaching out, conversion to look like businesses and brands wanting to partner up with you because they believe you know what you're talking about based on the years and the foundation that you've laid with the content that you're creating. So in order for us to build a strategic plan, we are going to use 90-day streaks to actually do this particular solid foundation building. And so the first 90 days of your content creation journey as a beginner professional content creator is you are going to build awareness around who you are and discoverability around your name, your professional skill set, as well as what you want corporate to know and understand about you. The second 90 days, what you're going to do is you're going to build around community and engagement. So you're going to get really polarizing here. And when you're getting polarizing, guys, you have to disagree with a lot of popular opinions and insert your own belief, your own bias towards what people already know about that specific topic, and you're not going to hold back. Now, during this particular 90 days of building community and engagement, you have to be okay with the process, because it's going to bring a lot of mixed reactions. So you may end up getting some hate comments, you may be getting some disagreeing opinions in your comment section, and that's totally okay. And then when you're done with your next 90 days, your last 90 days are going to be built around conversion. So here you're going to think about setting up funnels, you're going to think about building your pitch, you're also going to think about creating content around making sure that people know that you're up looking for opportunities, you're creating content maybe to partner up with brands, and you're going to specifically and categorically mention the brands that you actually want to work with professionally, as well as building up your portfolio. You're going to organize the content that you create. You're going to be more structured around what you do as a professional content creator, because this particular set of 90 days, you are mainly focusing on conversion, and you're going to get very strategic, and you're also going to get very structured in the way you create your content. Then step 3 in your professional content creation journey is you need to come up with your messaging and be consistent in your messaging as you continue creating content online. Now, this is a two-step process. There's the consistency part and there's the coming up with your messaging. So let's tackle the first one. How do you come up with consistent messaging? Here you use the rule of 1. So the rule of 1 basically states that you are going to answer every single problem with one thing. So you're going to choose one problem, you're going to solve that one problem for one specific set of the market segment, and you bring one specific impact or result that is going to help this particular person that you're helping, or this particular entity that you're helping, move closer towards their goal. The second part of being consistent is you are going to be creating content that will always revolve back to that one messaging that you're talking about every single time. So every single piece of content that you're gonna create, whether you're creating posts 3 times a week or once a week, whatever your cadence is, the messaging will always remain, or it will always drive back to, we are creating content, or rather we are solving this one problem. Every single piece of content will always revolve back to that one messaging. And then step number 4 in your professional content creation journey is you are now going to start thinking about building your sales funnel or building your conversion funnel. When you're building your professional personal brand online, you're actually building a conversion magnet so that you can attract all the opportunities that you're actually positioning yourself for. And it's very, very important you get very clear on what those opportunities are going to look like. For example, if you're thinking around jumping the ship of having a corporate 9 to 5, then it means you need to start building your content creation side as a business or as a side hustle that is structured to actually pay you a salary that matches what you're earning in your corporate 9 to 5. If you're thinking about content creation as a side gig or an added bonus to what you're currently earning, then you need to structure it in a way that it's not going to normally require you every single time for you to actually make a sale, or for you to actually get to a point where you're earning additional income to your 9 to 5. Every single avenue you're going to use content creation to add a bonus to your professional presence is going to lead somewhere, and that is where conversion comes in. If you're thinking about maybe, for example, building it as an additional source of income to whatever you're currently doing as your 9 to 5, then the funnel that you're supposed to build should be an opportunity funnel for digital products that you're selling, maybe a consultation that you want to have with people who are in need or require your set of expertise, or even a funnel that is going to add you maybe projects on contractual basis that is going to add to your income kind of right now that you're earning in your 9 to 5. So that means that you need to build a portfolio, you need to build proof of work, proof of concept, and you also need to build a funnel that is going to sustain you and be realistic enough so that it doesn't interfere with your main hustle, which is your corporate 9 to 5. But on the other side, if you're thinking about leaving your 9 to 5, or you're thinking about doing this as a brand that is gonna be maybe established in the near future, 3 to 5 years to come, then you need to structure it in a business, in in a setting of a business. So you need to think about what products are you going to be launching, what companies are you going to get into partnerships with, and how are you going to structure this whole thing so that by the time you're leaving your 9 to 5, you actually have something that is stable enough to actually give you income the way your corporate job was structured, to give you income at the end of every month. Because remember, with building a business and building content creation as a business, it is going to take time. And so before you even leave your 9 to 5, you need to ensure that this is something that can actually sustain you when you're thinking about using it as a business, okay? So with that being said, your funnels need to be around the products that you're actually going to sell. So are you going to be selling a tangible product? Are you going to be selling your services? Or are you going to be coaching and consulting for people to teach them exactly what you are doing or what you're talking about, or what social media and the content that you're sharing has branded you to be an authority in? Now that is it with this particular video. I'm hoping that you guys liked it and found it helpful. If you did, make sure to give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. This month, I'm thinking about talking more deeply about finance, but I'm really confused about what you guys would want to learn about finances, especially when you're working a corporate 9 to 5. So feel free to let me know in the comments section. Otherwise, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching until the end. And as always, I will see you in the next one.